This is Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast, episode number 382. Welcome to Whitetail Rendezvous, hosted by Bruce Hutchin. I'm so happy you've joined us today, and you're going to find out a lot about whitetail hunting on. Hey, folks, we got a new sponsor. It's called Buckwild Coffee. What's so special about Buckwild Coffee? Well, a gazillion people go to Starbucks every day and drink coffee. Well, why shouldn't Buckwild Coffee offer you light, medium, or dark roast with free shipping? All you have to do is go to whitetailrendezvous.com, go to shop, and order your coffee, and I'll ship it out for free. Hey, thanks so much for visiting Buckwild Coffee. The best brew in the West, the best brew around the campfire, the best brew in the hunting shack, the best brew anywhere. Buckwild Coffee. Get yours today. The show. Welcome to today's show with Tyler Skowronski of the Buffalo, New York area and the founder of HIIT Team Outdoors, H-I-I-T. As I said in the previous warm-up for the show, HIIT stands for honor, integrity, instinct, and tradition. And we're going to wind that whole acronym into today's show and talk about how successful Tyler's been hunting deer, but more than that, what he's doing to grow hunting in his community, how he is a man of integrity, a man of honor, and certainly an instinctive whitetail hunter. He killed a marvelous whitetail deer, 10-point buck, and near the same stand, a 500-pound bear. He's got some great stories. Stay tuned. You're going to enjoy Tyler Skowronski of HIIT Team Outdoors. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. Hey, we're heading out to Western New York, around the Buffalo area, and we're going to connect with Tyler Skowronski, founder of HIIT, H-I-I-T, H-I-I-T, Team Outdoors. Tyler, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's going really great, and it's the end of another day out here in Colorado, and we had snow, and then it's 60 degrees, so go figure.
Yeah, right. We had rain, and then we had 50, so we're not too far off of you.
It's crazy. So let's start off with what HIIT stands for.
Well, it's an acronym, obviously. It's honor, integrity, instinct, and tradition. So we broke it down into some concepts that I and my buddies and my family really thought were things that everyone in the outdoor industry, whether it be hunting, fishing, photography, some things that really bring you back to why you're doing whatever it is you're doing. And we thought that was a really important thing to convey to the outdoor industry and just, outdoors men and women in general. So we were happy to come about that, and, kind of gives you that the feeling of being cool, like you're a hit man or a hit woman, going out there and finding your game or hitting your mark, which is one of our big slogans. Whatever your mark is, we want you to figure out what that is and hit it. And we accept anybody's, whatever your mark is, whether your mark is to get your first deer, whether it's to shoot a Pope and Young buck, whether it's to see your grandson get his first deer. Everyone has a different goal. We want to make sure that they feel just as happy and as successful when they get it as everybody else. So there's kind of a couple different things we wrapped into it, but we're really happy with it, and we think a lot of people are connecting with it.
So tell me about the logo, because I know sort of kind of parts of it, but not the whole thing. So start off with the arrow. The arrow's red, white, and blue with a red broadhead, a white shaft, and a blue feather. So take us through your logo, because I like your logo, and I want to know the backstory.
Yeah, so I'll start from a holistic point first, then I'll break it down. So it starts off, it's a tree. You can see it's a tree. You see it has roots. You see different things. So whether you look at it from one side saying the outdoors, one of the most outdoorsy things you can think of is a tree. It's almost the base of nature. You think Mother Nature, you think a big tree. So we started there. Then if you start to break it down and look at it a little bit more, we have the arrow, which you talked about, which is, signifying hunting, which archery is one of mine and a few of our other big passions. So that was one thing we definitely wanted to put in there, and it kind of leveled out the whole image itself. Then on the trunk, we have tracks from three animals of which we commonly pursue, especially everyone up here in New York. We have our whitetail, we have our turkey, and then a bear, which was actually one of the highlights of my hunting career thus far. I was able to take a 500-pound black bear up here in New York, and that was something I got to share with just about everyone who's ever touched me, whether it be family or friends, in my hunting career. So that was a really important memory for me, not just on the trophy aspect, but for a memory aspect. So that was something I definitely wanted to include in there. And if you look at it even deeper, the roots are actually the rack of a deer. So it, it kind of ties in once again that whitetail are one of our big, focuses, just because it's, look at how many people hunt whitetail in the United States. It's the most commonly sought after big game animal in the lower 48. So we had that, and then obviously the red, white, and blue that's in the arrow as well as in the flag was something that we just wanted to signify, we're all happy to have our freedoms that we have here in the United States, and we're proud of them. So we wanted to show that support. We also have a secondary logo that has the thin blue line flag in it to support our wearing blue brothers and sisters, out on the streets trying to protect everyone in the United States. So we wanted to try to bring those two aspects and show our pride in those senses.
Yeah, I like it. It's a lot of thought. That's what I like about it. And what it represents you and your hunting tradition. And I want to go back to the honor, integrity, instinct, and tradition. And we'll leave the tradition for last because we'll get into the hunting tradition. But who taught you, where does honor come from in your life?
Definitely from my parents. There's a lot of, I was very, very fortunate to have a lot of family members in my life for a very long time. I wasn't like I had a very spread out family, but I was raised how to hunt from my father. So he was always, making it known that you're not hunting unless you're going to use it. You're not just killing to kill. That's a really big, important part of it. And because of those aspects, things like that, not just, even if you look at it from, a tree or something, you're not going to cut down a tree just to cut down a tree. You're going to cut it down for firewood. You're going to cut it down because it's going to knock down your house. There has to be a reason for everything you do. And that's where the honor really comes in. You're honoring your quarry, whether it be a fish, whether it be a whitetail, a turkey. You're taking a respectful, ethical shot. There's a lot of reasons and ways to honor your quarry, but then it's also honoring what you represent, honoring the hunting community, honoring your family in the ways that you go about your hunting career. And the best part about a lot of things that we're promoting is that they're things that you can apply to your everyday life. So you can honor your family, like I said, and just honor other people's opinions on top of it. These are all things that you can take into your everyday life on top of your hunting career. So that's why that was a really important part to have that honor aspect in there.
What about integrity?
Integrity is another one. Got to make sure whatever you're doing it with integrity. Once again, you're not doing things for the wrong reasons. You're doing things to help yourself, to help, your family, help others. We donate a lot of meat when we can because we're lucky enough that we can get a handful of tags up here in New York. So try to give back as much as we can. So that was a very important aspect of it as well. Making sure that once again, whatever you do, there's a reason for it. Hunting isn't about killing. And if it is, then you're probably doing it for the wrong reasons.
Now, instinct definitely takes us into the hunting arena as all the other things, but you've got to have some instincts to be a successful hunter. You can read all the books and everything, but if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time consistently, you're not gonna harvest anything. You're not gonna put anything on the ground. So let's talk about instinct in hunting.
Yeah, like you can understand it better yourself. Whether you read all the books or you listen to anything your teacher, whether it be your father, your mother, your grandmother, your grandfather teaches you, at some point you're going to have to be able to apply those things. And even more so, at some point, no matter how much knowledge you think you have, you're going to have to make a decision that doesn't apply to any of the knowledge that anybody's given you. Yeah, like you said, there has to be that moment. And I think in every hunter's life, whether you start young and it comes to you early in life or you pick it up a little bit later in life, there's always that moment when you get that snap in your head where you say, you know what, I have to do it this way. I'm not exactly sure why, but I think if I do it this way, it's going to work out. And those kind of moments, that's like you said, it's a big part of hunting. You got to make decisions that you think feel right, whether it's, something just doesn't feel right about this spot. I'm 50 yards too far this way. I'm not exactly sure why, but I've seen a little bit of deer action to that side, and the food sources that way. There's those little things that naturally, as humans, you pick up on, even if you're not a hunter. If you're out there doing photography, I've noticed it multiple times, and that being one of my big passions. Sometimes stuff just hits you, and you realize, I know why I'm not getting this shot, because I'm not in the right area to be finding the animal I'm looking for, or I'm not in the right area where the sunlight's coming down to hit the creek, and things like that. They're inbred, they're instinct, and obviously, like we said, the word is everything that it means. You really just have to act on instinct. And naturally, humans have that, and I think that's a really important thing to click into in the outdoor world.
We both met people that, they got all the right gear, they got everything they could possibly have, they got a great place to hunt, but they're not successful. And that's where I think instinct comes, because they don't listen to their own being. I don't know how else to say it. And, and it's hard to transfer that that skill, character. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but I think of instinctive bow hunters sticking a string. I mean, no sights, no anything. It's just muscle memory. They get up, and I've shot traditional bows, and it's hard, but the people do it well. It's like no big deal.
Yeah, and I think you can even apply that to guys that hunt with the compound bows. I currently hunt with the compound. I actually want to get into traditional because I think it'd be a really interesting skill to obtain. But I know you probably see it on TV all the time that these guys are using the rangefinder, or ladies are using rangefinders all the time. But I'd say there's probably quite a few people in the everyday community that never really don't come about that. Don't decide to, I'm going to take a rangefinder. I don't want with a rangefinder. And even though you have your pins and you have your sights, you still have to make, something within you tells me, okay, yeah, I think that's definitely 20 yards. And the beautiful thing about instinct too is that it changes. You have feelings on things, but when things don't work, that becomes a wealth of knowledge that you can tap back into later on.
Let's end up with tradition. We've already talked about honor, integrity, instinct. Now let's talk about tradition, and specifically the hunting tradition.
Yeah. That was probably one of the strongest driving factors for developing what is HIIT now. And it's mostly because it all started out that I wanted to encompass in a word or in a logo what the outdoors meant to me. What did my father teach me? What did my grandfather teach me? What memories did I have that made me feel like I was part of something bigger than myself? And so that's where the HIIT came from. And tradition was always one of the most driving factors. That's the reason that when I couldn't even carry a weapon, I was still out there with my father and learning. I wanted to be part of a bigger piece than myself. I wanted to be out there and feel like I was a Skowronski, going through the photo albums of big bucks and, full meat poles and, all those different aspects. That was something that just excited me like Christmas, that I was at some point in my life, I was going to have the opportunity to be part of that rich tradition. And then as I grew up, seeing what is the tradition of hunting around the country, seeing different pictures of people in UP, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and, the big meat poles they had there, and people coming from across the country to go hunting there, and, being part of something that some people just never have the opportunity to understand is something that really drove me and then my family and friends that we all hunt with. It really drove us to be part of something bigger than ourselves. And that's what I think the tradition really means to all of us. And then now with HIIT, allowing me to share that tradition and hopefully drive other people to get excited and want to be a part of traditions like that, make their own traditions even more so, and then hopefully share them with us and everyone else, you know?
Tyler, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
I say the best way right now, our biggest form is our Instagram page. That would be HIT_team. So the at HIT team on Instagram. That's our current largest. We're working on our Facebook page, which is slowly growing due to our following on Instagram. Then we have our website that has all of our contact information. If you specifically want to talk to us, feel free to email or do anything like that. Our email is hitteamoutdoors@gmail. We're always open to suggestions and comments and, helping out people with whatever outdoor questions they might have. And then we're also working on our YouTube page, which is, once again, just HIIT Team Outdoors. We do product reviews for some of the great companies that we've been lucky enough now to partner up with. And so those YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, I would say, definitely be our greatest chances for us to connect with our public and fan base.
Hey, mentioning YouTube, Whitetail Rendezvous, all the podcasts are up on YouTube. They've been up there for a month, but I haven't said anything, so I'm going to take this time to say, hey, you want to go to my YouTube channel, Whitetail Rendezvous, you're going to find all the shows, all the podcasts from the beginning up there. And HIIT Team will be up there sometime in May. So thanks for that. And one thing, I'm looking at your logo, and see, the logo to me looks like a helmet, like a military, veteran type. That's what I'm thinking. Was that in the thought process? I know you said the men in blue and supporting them, but was the shape of the tree supposed to reflect a military type helmet?
Originally, it actually wasn't, which is kind of ironic that you say that, because we've had some of those same opinions on it when they look at it, especially with having the patriot aspect of having the flag in it. But yeah, it was really actually just it was a big oak that I designed up myself, and that's just the way it shaped up to be. But some other people have made that same comment, and though it might not have been the purpose or the reasoning for that shape, it's something that we definitely wouldn't push to the side, because, like we said, we understand, and we hope that other people understand, the reason that we have the freedom to pursue our own meat and such is because of the people that allow us to have those freedoms, and that's our men and women that stand up for our country each and every day. So if people want to see it that way, just like with the name HIIT, I can tell you what each letter means, but the beauty of it is that each letter really means something specific to each person. So if the logo to someone wants to say that it's a helmet, though that might have not have been the original purpose of it, we're always open to those interpretations and hope that they enjoy it for whatever reason it is.
Yeah, there's some distinct marketing benefit for what you just said, because I'm looking at honor. Well, as hunters, we have to honor the game. We also have to honor our veterans. We, in my opinion, should honor your mother and father, and so forth. And then you get integrity, the same thing, and instinct keeps people alive, and keeps animals alive. And then the tradition not only in hunting, but the tradition of our country and what we stand for. So, props to you for that logo. I really like it. I like it. Works for me.
Definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome. So
we'll have to send you out a decal then.
Send me out one. That's good. No, I'll send you my my home address when we're done here.
Perfect.
Okay. In the warm up, we talked about a couple of things. And what is hunting?
Well, that's a very important question. I think it's asked quite often. And to some people, sadly, especially people outside of the outdoor industry, they think of hunting and killing. You put an equal sign in the middle, and that's all it is. But in the bigger aspect of it, I think it's exactly what HIIT stands for. It's the tradition, it's the It's the mindset, it's the emotion that you put into an outdoor lifestyle. It's a way to provide for our families. It's a way to share the outdoors with people that might not be able to. It's a way for parents and grandparents and stepfathers and stepmothers and whomever might have introduced you to it to teach very, very important life lessons that I think have gone to the wayside quite often nowadays. Whether it be gun control, which is obviously a huge topic nowadays, but hunting provides a beautiful and very in-depth avenue to teach those aspects, whether it's with a BB gun or up to a high-powered rifle once you make those decisions. So I think hunting, the best way to put hunting is learning, whether it's learning what your instincts are telling you, whether it's learning how to process game, whether it's learning how to take game, whether it's learning how to cope with taking another life and understanding that in life there is death. I think there's a lot of things that come from hunting that someone that does not allow that mentality to come into their life might never understand it. Now, I'm not saying that you necessarily have to become a hunter or a huntress, but I think it's a very important and very constructive way to learn in life in general. So I think to put an equal sign between anything would be hunting and learn.
Whitetail Rendezvous is pleased to announce a partnership with GoHunt.com. Who's GoHunt.com? Well, if you're a DIY hunter, you need the information at GoHunt.com/insider. Why? Because it provides 4,200 profiles, every unit, every species, and every season. Furthermore, they give in-depth analysis, interactive maps, unit access, and seasonal trends. Draw odds are very important, and they give you the most accurate information in the business. All this is available when you go to GoHunt.com/insider. Make sure you use promo code WR when you join Insider. You'll get a $50 gift card for GoHunt.com Gear Shop. All in all, if you're hunting out west in 2018, GoHunt.com Insider is where you need to be to get all the research information. When you use promo code WR, Whitetail Rendezvous receives a small commission from GoHunt.com.
Learning more than hunting and killing.
Thanks for that. And when somebody comes up to you and asks you, why do you hunt? They clearly don't understand. They're not in your face. They're not, aggressively. But somebody realistic, they say, why do you hunt, Tyler?
Yeah, that's another great question, like we had talked about earlier. And the best way that I can ever describe it to someone is, and obviously you got to think to yourself whether or not you have a garden for this to apply. But if you think to yourself, why do you have a garden? Okay, well, I want to have a garden because I want fresh, holistic fruits and vegetables to put on my plate and my family's plate each and every day. I don't want it to come from some big place that uses pesticides. And I don't want it to come from some big place that, uses GMOs, which now people are learning more about and thinking that there's bad side effects too. But we're not going to get into that. But so I asked them that question, and then I say that's why I hunt, and they look at me confused still. And the thought process behind it is, if there's going to be blood on anybody's hands, I want it to be my hands. I don't want it. Obviously, we still eat chicken and stuff like that. But if someone's going to take the life for something, I think that pain, which as much as we all enjoy hunting, there always has to be pain, whether it's very small or very large. Everybody knows that there is some sorrow in the fact that you are taking another life. And that's, I think, a very important thing to check into while you're hunting. But like I said, I want that blood to be on my hands. I want to know that when I provided food, fresh, holistic, nutritious food for my family, that I did it the right way. I didn't expect a big slaughterhouse to do it. I didn't put that pain on anybody else. I didn't put that pain on someone who created a machine to do it. I took my energy and a part of me to provide for my family. And like I said earlier, I know I'm still not saying that hunting equals killing, because there's a lot more to hunting. But at the end of the day, if I am going to provide for my family, I'd rather the blood be on my hands than someone else's. And I think that that's part of the honoring your game and honoring what you're feeding your family. So I think that we can always go back to, and I hope that we can go back to the things that make up the name of what we're talking about, and that is HIIT. So I think that it's very important to make sure that your head is right and that you're providing for your family. And if anyone's going to do it, that you're the one that has that blood on your hands.
Thanks for that. And I know you're a younger man, and it's amazing. I sit here. You've had some wise people talk wisdom into you because you seem very grounded, and your value system is really strong. And listeners, take some of the stuff from Tyler and think about it and apply it in your own life, because Whitetail Rendezvous is about hunting deer and hunting tradition, but it's about life. And as I always say, it's real people in real places. And it's just a pleasure to have Tyler on the show talking about hunting whitetails today and everything else that we've been talking about. So props to you, kid.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And like you said, just a point to that, and by no means is this a reason to buy a shirt that says HIIT on it. But like you said, I really would appreciate if people would take, just the things that you and me are discussing and apply them to your real life. You don't have to be an outdoorsman, as you had said, to apply things that, honor your mom and dad, like you had said. Those are important things that you can take into your everyday life and not always just the outdoor industry. So I'm happy that you made that comment. And I hope that, like you said, people can take as much as they can from this awesome podcast that we're putting together right now.
So how to get other people involved? That was another thing we talked about in the warm up. The HIIT team wants to get other people involved. Old, young, it doesn't matter. Guy, gal, it really doesn't matter. How are you doing that?
Well, we started off from the social media aspect first. The reason that we called it HIIT Team was that we didn't want it to seem like we were trying to be Lee and Tiffany, who are, they're great people in the outdoor industry, do a lot for the industry. I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all, but we weren't trying to be, above other people. We wanted to make them feel like they were part of a team. As long as you were living that honoring, respectful, ethical lifestyle, that you were part of the team. You were part of HIIT Team. So that was one part, and we'd like to post some of our fan photos on our social media accounts, like we said, at HIIT Team Outdoors and at HIIT Team on Instagram and such. But then we started thinking to ourselves, what were things that really started to drive our passion? So there's some different outdoor archery leagues that we've been in over the years. We try to make sure that we make those concepts available to everybody. And we hand out flyers for some local rod and gun clubs to get more people involved and get more people out, on a Sunday afternoon to shoot 15 targets and enjoy the outdoors. Then another thing that we're really excited about soon is up here in Western New York, we actually have one of the largest youth archery camps in the Northeast. This year it's at Hawkeye Bowman. If we have any New York listeners, that'd be something to look into for your kids. I think it's 12 through 16-year-olds that can come to it. It's a full weekend of just outdoors and hunting and archery. Well, I should say, and archery. So they start out in the beginning of the week teaching them safety. Some of the kids are lucky enough to already know those concepts from their family. Some of them are learning it for the first time. And then they slowly work themselves into the way to ethically take a shot, the way to properly process game, the ways to trap, the ways to call. They get a little piece of everything so everyone can get a feel for things that they might not have otherwise been exposed to. So we're really happy to be going there and helping them with that. We're going to help give some talks and help teach some younger guys and gals about how to ethically make shots. And not only that, just teach them the proper way to shoot a bow, which is, like I had said earlier in the cast, that's something that we really enjoy. It's just archery in general. So it'll be a great way for us to give back, and hopefully that'll allow us to connect with a lot of younger people and keep them excited about the outdoors. Outside of that, we tend to go to some local events. We've got some invitations to go to bigger ones, but, trying to work a full-time schedule and work your passion, you got to make time for different things. So we haven't gone too much out of state stuff yet, but hopefully that'll change as time goes on. And those are just another place for us to go and connect with people. And, tell them our story like we're doing right here. And hopefully they can connect, and that'll drive their passion even more, or give it another kickstart or fire under their butt to get it going again. And those are the exciting moments for us, when you really see someone's eyes light up, whether it be a young person or an older gentleman or lady that maybe, you know what, I'm going to take my granddaughter out fishing this weekend. I'm going to get her out, or I'm going to teach her how to shoot a gun so we can go hunting and I can be with her when she gets her first deer. So when we have those moments, when we can really see people's eyes light up and feel like they connected with somebody, and somebody to say things, often we get, that's exactly how I feel about it. The honor, the integrity, the instinct, the tradition. Those are things that are really important to me. Wow, that's awesome to hear that people are, promoting something like that. And that's what really gets me excited and puts a smile on my face, to know that we're becoming a voice for people that might think that in an industry where now stuff is being televised and stuff like that even more, that they feel like their voice and their persona, their traditions are being conveyed, and hopefully that we can convey them for them if they don't have the ability to. And like I said, hopefully start, maybe not a revolution, but start a new flow of the outdoor industry where everybody finds their mark and goes out there to hit it.
Now, I know you've taken a couple of nice bucks and you killed a monster bear. Was that Pope and Young qualified?
Yes.
Just a huge bear. And let's talk about DIY versus private land. Where is most of your hunting done?
Well, that's something that's actually unintentionally unique about HIIT team, is we're probably just about 50-50. My biggest buck and that bear were actually both shot on public land about 75 yards from each other in a tree stand where I actually had, we hunt with climbers, because we actually hunt on what's called wildlife management. So you can't cut shooting lanes, you can't, no permanent stands, no screw-ins, no nothing. Yeah, take in, take out every single day. So it's definitely labor intensive. But I shot that great buck early in 2014, and I went on to bring my father up to that area because he wasn't seeing the deer that he typically does. And he saw what he said was the widest buck he's ever seen. And we're hunting in New York, so some people don't think there's big bucks in New York. There are some, maybe not as many as some of our buddies out in Iowa and such, but there's some good deer here. And the tree that I put him in, I actually put him in because I wanted him to see what it looked like out of a tree stand, because I'd never climbed up that tree with my climber. And he went up there, said it looked great, so I went there, and that's where I ended up harvesting my bear from. But then when we decide not to make the 2-hour journey south towards the PA line where we hunt on that state land, we do a lot of private land hunting. And my other counterpart, Jake Dadswell, who does a lot of work with us, and it'd be fair to call him a co-founder of HIIT, does a lot of private land hunting, and in great, small track spots. And there's a couple of bigger track spots, anywhere from one spot, I believe, where he took his biggest buck last year, or so not this last season, the season before. He shot 155 inch buck, 10-pointer with the bow. And that was only on a 20-acre plot. He has some other spots he's got one that's over 300 acres where he actually just took his first deer with the rifle this year. So we have a very diverse mix of types of terrain, whether it be cornfield, rolling hills, more ravine stuff, and a broad mix of private and public land hunting, which is the way that we grew up hunting, but it also kind of helps us connect with people, whether people have questions about, how do you get it done on somewhere that's got a lot of hunting pressure, or how do you set up your stands when you don't have a lot of land to hunt? It helps us connect and hopefully help people out when they need the help.
Now, on the private land, what do you do to hold mature bucks on that land so they don't stray to the neighbors?
Yeah, that's always a big issue for most people. If you have the ability, obviously, to keep them on there, whether it be by food, which is probably your greatest chance to keep them on, but we know the things that drive everybody, food and sex. Those are the hardest two take away from anything. So if you have the food, you got to have the does. And it's always hard to keep the does on there if they're getting pushed around by the bucks. But what you can do is come back once again to the food. Does concentrate on food more than anything else. They aren't as concerned about breeding as the bucks are. So if you have the food source, then they're going to want to stay there. That being said, when you have very small tracts of land, that becomes an issue. I only have 20 acres. How many acres do I try to turn into food? What kind of food do I plant? All those different kinds of things. And that's where you have to start to look into what's around you. If you have a 100, 200, 300 acre cornfield on the property next door, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but there's going to be issues there with you trying to pull any deer off of that, because we all know how much corn draws deer. So what you got to do then is think of other ways to do it. And believe it or not, we found that scent is a great way to do it. Now, it's not a save all. It's not going to keep every buck on your property. But if you're going to have a mature buck that you want to have come through your property as frequent as possible, this is once again, if you can't guarantee he's bedding there or anything like that, things like Kishel's just came out with a great product. It's a mock scrape kit, and they're right out of here in Western New York. So we got a hold of a couple of those, and we run mock scrapes all the way spring through till the snow's too deep to clean off the scrapes. And bucks, does, small bucks, big bucks will come and hit those scrapes all year long, because it's a communication piece. They might obviously in the rut become more aggressive, and that's where that scent, if the bucks if they know where they can communicate and figure out where the does have been, or if there's any hot does, if they know that they can come and check that scrape, that's going to give them a little light bulb in their head to say, you know what, I want to go check that scrape that's been there all year and it's had smell of does on it all year. So I'm going to make sure I check that once or twice or 3 times a week. So thinking in those aspects can be a very, very successful way to take mature bucks on small tracts of land.
Thanks for that. And we're at the time of the show where you're going to get a chance for a minute or so to give some shout outs, and then we're going to wrap the show.
Alrighty. Obviously, I'd like to shout out Jake Dadswell. Like I said, a co-founder of HIIT, and he's done a lot of work and couldn't be here with us today. But thank you to you, sir, and he's a great friend of mine. Thank you to my grandfather and parents. The 3 of them have driven what is my outdoor passion. Thank you to my other grandparents, who then drove me to just be a great person and have helped develop what is HIIT in my regular lifestyle, because they aren't outdoors men or women in their own. Thank you to companies like Cleanse Oil, Buckstruck, now working with Tega Coolers, another great company that we're now working with. So those are just some great companies that we're working with, and we really appreciate their help day to day. And outside of that, just a quick thank you just to all of our fans. We really appreciate all of their input and all of their following and great comments. And we hope that you continue to do that. We can continue to bring you, products that help you promote what is such a great lifestyle. And we hope that you connect and share your stories with us. As like I said, our slogan is HIIT Your Mark, and that's because we want you all to have a mark. And we hope that you can discover it, hit it, and then share it with us. So once again, thank you all of our fans, and we can't wait to see you hit your mark.
Tyler Skowronski, thank you so much for being a guest on Whitetail Rendezvous, and I'm sure my listeners across North America are going to take to heart some of the words and some of the comments that were made on the show today. So you're one heck of a individual, that's for darn sure. And think about your logo and interweave the veteran part, and I think let's get some legs there. So on behalf of Whitetail Rendezvous, sir, thank you so much for being a guest on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I was looking forward to it, and it was all.
Hey, folks, we got a new sponsor. It's called Buckwild Coffee. What's so special about Buckwild Coffee? Well, a gazillion people go to Starbucks every day and drink coffee. Well, why shouldn't Buckwild Coffee offer you light, medium, or dock roast with free shipping. All you have to do is go to whitetailrendezvous.com, go to shop, and order your coffee, and I'll ship it out for free. Hey, thanks so much for visiting Buckwild Coffee. The best brew in the West, the best brew around the campfire, the best brew in the hunting shack, the best brew anywhere. Buckwild Coffee. Get yours today.
I hope for. So great people always make for a good time. I appreciate it.
Hey, folks, make sure you listen to the next episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. We're going to be talking with John Foray. John and his partner, Josh Bias, are co-founders of Calculated Killers. Who's Calculated Killers? We're a bunch of guys that love chasing whitetails in the mountains of West Virginia, North Carolina, and Virginia. John's going to talk about early season prep, mapping in terrains, and the adventure of hunting. It's going to be a great show. Stay tuned.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.